Can Canadian work experience help you become a permanent resident? For many skilled workers, the answer may be yes through the Canadian Experience Class. This program is managed under Express Entry and is designed for people who have already gained eligible skilled work experience in Canada. However, simply working in Canada does not guarantee permanent residence. Your occupation, work authorization, hours, language results, and supporting documents must meet IRCC requirements. In this video, we'll explain how the Canadian Experience Class works, who may qualify, and which common mistakes can weaken an application. The Canadian Experience Class, commonly called CEC, is one of the 3 immigration programs managed through Canada's Express Entry system. It is intended for skilled workers who have already gained eligible work experience in Canada and want to apply for permanent residence. Unlike a separate visa that you apply for directly, CEC operates through Express Entry. An eligible candidate creates an online profile and enters the Express Entry pool. IRCC then assigns the profile a comprehensive ranking system score. Candidates may be invited to apply for permanent residence through general, program-specific, or category-based invitation rounds. Qualifying for CEC allows you to enter the pool, but it does not guarantee that you will receive an invitation. Express Entry manages 3 federal economic immigration programs, but each one targets a different type of skilled worker. The Canadian Experience Class is mainly for candidates who have gained eligible skilled work experience in Canada. The Federal Skilled Worker Program can accept qualifying skilled work experience gained in Canada or abroad, but applicants must also meet its education, language, and selection factor requirements. The Federal Skilled Trades Program is designed for people qualified in eligible skilled trades. It generally requires at least 2 years of qualifying trade experience, plus either a valid Canadian job offer or a Canadian Certificate of Qualification. Some candidates may qualify for more than one Express Entry program. IRCC determines which program applies when issuing an invitation to apply. Who can qualify for the Canadian Experience Class? You generally need at least 1 year or 1,560 hours of paid skilled work experience gained in Canada during the 3 years before you apply. That experience must fall under a Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3 occupation and must have been gained while you were authorized to work in Canada under temporary resident status. You must also meet the required language level for your occupation in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Your work experience must match the lead statement and most of the main duties listed for the correct National Occupational Classification. Finally, you must be admissible to Canada and plan to live outside Quebec. Meeting these requirements may make you eligible to enter the Express Entry pool, but it does not guarantee an invitation to apply. For work experience to qualify under the Canadian Experience Class, it must meet several important conditions. The work must have been completed in Canada while you were legally authorized to work under temporary resident status. It must be paid employment. Volunteer work and unpaid internships do not count toward the minimum experience requirement. Your job must fall within NOC Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. You may combine experience from more than one eligible occupation, provided the qualifying work was gained within the required 3-year period. You must also show that you perform the duties described for the occupation you claim. A job title alone is not enough if your actual responsibilities do not match the correct NOC description. Keep employment letters, pay records, tax documents, and other evidence that can support your claimed Canadian work history. To qualify under the Canadian Experience Class, you need at least 1,560 hours of eligible Canadian work experience within the 3 years before you apply. For full-time employment, IRCC counts up to 30 hours per week. Working 30 hours each week for 12 months gives you the required 1,560 hours. Part-time work can also qualify. For example, working 15 hours per week for 24 months may reach the same total. You may combine eligible hours from more than one part-time job or qualifying occupation. However, simply working extra hours each week does not let you complete the one-year requirement sooner. Keep accurate records of your dates, weekly hours, wages, and job duties, because IRCC may compare this information with your employment letters, pay records, and tax documents. Not every job performed in Canada counts toward the Canadian Experience class. Volunteer positions and unpaid internships are excluded because qualifying experience must be paid through wages or commission. Self-employment also generally does not count toward the CEC minimum. However, IRCC currently provides a limited exception for certain physicians who delivered publicly funded medical services in Canada. Work experience gained while you were a full-time student does not count, including experience completed during a co-op work term. Unauthorized employment is also ineligible. Your qualifying experience must have been gained while you had temporary residence status and permission to work in Canada. Finally, work in Tier 4 or 5 occupations cannot be used to meet the CEC minimum. Review every period of employment carefully before counting it toward your required experience. Language ability is a mandatory requirement under the Canadian Experience class. The minimum score depends on the TEER category of the occupation used for your qualifying Canadian work experience. For a Tier 0 or Tier 1 occupation, you must achieve at least Canadian Language Benchmark 7 in speaking, listening, reading, and writing. For a TER 2 or TER 3 occupation, the minimum is Canadian Language Benchmark 5 in all 4 abilities. For French, the equivalent standard is called the Niveau de Compétences Linguistiques Canadiennes, or NCLC. IRCC accepts CELPIP General, IELTS General Training, and PTE Core for English, as well as TEF Canada and TCF Canada for French. Your results must be less than 2 years old when you create your Express Entry profile and when you submit your permanent residence application. Recommended duration: 45 to 50 seconds. Important correction: the generated image incorrectly shows CLB 6 for reading and writing under Tier 0 or 1, and CLB 4 for reading under Tier 2 or 3. The correct minimum is CLB 7 in all 4 abilities for Tier 0 or 1, and CLB 5 in all 4 abilities for Tier 2 or 3. The image should be regenerated before publication. The Canadian Experience class does not have a minimum education requirement. However, Canadian education or an eligible foreign credential supported by an educational credential assessment may increase your comprehensive ranking system score. A job offer is also not required to qualify for CEC. Importantly, Express Entry stopped awarding CRS points for job offers on March 25, 2025. Although job offer information may still matter for certain program or work permit requirements. CEC applicants are also not required to provide settlement funds. When completing your Express Entry profile, the system may still request financial information. But candidates invited under CEC do not need to meet the proof of funds requirement. Understanding these distinctions can prevent unnecessary documents and incorrect assumptions when preparing your profile. Once you meet the Canadian Experience class requirements, the next step is to create an Express Entry profile through your secure IRCC account. Before you begin, gather your language test results, passport details, employment history, education information, and any other documents relevant to your profile. Complete every section carefully. Your answers are used to determine whether you qualify for an Express Entry program and to calculate your comprehensive ranking system score. After you submit the profile, IRCC may place you in the Express Entry pool if you are eligible. Your profile is not a permanent residence application, and entering the pool does not guarantee an invitation. Keep your information accurate and up to date, especially if your work experience, language results, family situation, or contact details change. After entering the Express Entry pool, eligible candidates receive a Comprehensive Ranking System, or CRS score. This score is based on factors such as age, education, official language ability, Canadian and foreign work experience, and, where applicable, a spouse or common law partner's qualifications. Additional points may also be available for factors such as a provincial nomination, Canadian education, and strong French language ability. IRCC holds different types of invitation rounds and normally invites the highest-ranking eligible candidates in each round. The required CRS score is not fixed and can change depending on the draw type, the number of invitations issued, and the candidates in the pool. Meeting the Canadian Experience Class requirements does not guarantee an invitation. When you receive an invitation to apply, you normally have 60 days to submit a complete permanent residence application. After receiving an invitation to apply, you normally have 60 days to submit your complete permanent residence application, so begin gathering documents immediately. Your personalized document checklist may require passports or travel documents, valid language test results, employment reference letters, and records supporting your education and work history. You may also need civil status documents, police certificates, digital photographs, and information about accompanying family members. The exact requirements depend on your personal circumstances and the information declared in your Express Entry profile. Permanent residence applicants and their family members must meet IRCC's medical examination requirements, including family members who are not accompanying them to Canada. Make sure every document is complete, readable, and consistent with your profile. Missing documents or unexplained discrepancies can cause delays or lead IRCC to reject the application as incomplete. Several common mistakes can weaken a Canadian Experience Class application. First, do not assume that every Canadian job counts. Confirm that your experience is paid, authorized, and classified under Tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. Second, calculate your qualifying hours carefully and make sure the experience was gained within the required 3-year period. Your employment letters should clearly confirm your job title, dates, hours, wages, and duties. Those duties must support the NOC occupation you selected. Use valid language results and update your Express Entry profile whenever important information changes. Finally, never submit inaccurate information or altered documents. False information can result in refusal and serious consequences for future applications. The Canadian Experience Class can offer a pathway to permanent residence for skilled workers who have gained eligible experience in Canada. To qualify, your work must meet the CEC rules, your language results must reach the required level, and the information in your Express Entry profile must be accurate and complete. Remember that qualifying for CEC does not guarantee an invitation. Your CRS score, the type of invitation round, and the number of candidates in the pool can all affect your chances. Stay organized, keep your profile updated, and prepare your documents before receiving an invitation. For the complete guide, visit 101legalways.com. Subscribe for more Canadian legal and immigration information, and share this video with someone who may benefit from it.